Got a little story for you. It kind of relates to the social media one that I've done. Might help people to gain some perspective. When my boy was around 3 years old, he used to go to a childminder's, and he got on really well with some twin boys that went there. They were fast friends and they wanted to spend all of their time together outside of the childminder as well. And we became friends with their parents. And one weekend, I arranged to meet up with one of the parents and the kids so that they could all play together. And she said, I've got a great place. There's a place in a park not far where there's a pirate ship and there's little houses for the kids to play in and there's water jets. I thought, this is fantastic. This is the middle of summer, very, very hot summer. So I said, perfect, we'll meet you there. Put it in the sat nav and drove down there. When I got there, I got to the car park and looked out, and there's this huge green area. And in the middle of this green area is this gated park where there's water jets and this big pirate ship and these little houses. Oh, that looks fantastic. And my boy was very, very excited. Now, it was about a 5 minute walk from the car park to this little gated area where this water park was. You had to walk across this big, open, grassy area. And there wasn't many people around. It was during the working week. I took a day off work. And there wasn't very many people around, but you could see it looked busy inside the park. Anyway, we've trudged over there. As I say, it took about 5 minutes. And we've met the parent and the two boys in the park. It took a couple of minutes to find them, even though this park was tiny, because it was so busy. Anyway, we've both said how busy it is, and we're sat down sort of planning, right, how long we're going to stay and all the rest of it. And we're talking to the boys. And I turned to this parent, and it must have been a couple of seconds. And I looked back, and my boy wasn't there anymore. Neither were the other two boys. Now, as we'd walked up and I saw how busy it was, I'd made a note to look at what my boy was wearing. He was wearing a yellow T-shirt, it had Transformers on it. I thought, right, remember that colour, because it's busy in there and I might lose him. I need to know where to look for him if something goes wrong. Anyway, so he's disappeared, and I've looked, I've gone, where's he gone? So to the parent, God, they move quick. And she's like, yeah, where are they? All right, look for the yellow T-shirt. I'm sat down at this point. I can't see the yellow T-shirt. Stand up. Can't see the yellow T-shirt. As I say, this is a very small park. So I said, I'm just going to go looking for him. So I start walking around. And my eyes are at this level where all the action is, looking for this yellow T-shirt. And I can't see it. It's chaotic in there. There is kids everywhere. As I say, it was a beautiful summer's day and it was the perfect place to take your kids. So I thought, couldn't see this yellow T-shirt and I'm starting to panic. So I start calling his name. No response. It was too loud. There was lots of screaming kids and things. And there were some other parents in there that must have seen that I was starting to look worried, and they said, can we help? I described my boy and they say, right, what's his name? And I told them and they said, right, we'll help you. So they start fighting their way through this sea of kids, calling his name, looking for this yellow T-shirt. And I'm doing the same. And I'm starting to panic now. I can't find him. So I start calling his name a bit louder. And I can hear the panic in my voice and my heartbeat is going mad. Louder and louder, I'm stomping around and I'm pushing my way through people, calling his name, calling his name. And eventually I heard a little voice say, Daddy. And I looked down and he's sticking his head out of one of these little houses, and he can see the panic on my face. It's like, mate, come here, get hold of his hand. I said, come on. We go back to the other parent who's just had a similar experience trying to find her kids, and she looks rattled. And both of us have said, this isn't a good idea. We should go. Trudged all the way back to the park, and I'm saying to him, son, I was terrified. I thought I'd lost you. Absolutely terrified. It was the worst experience of my life. We're in the car driving home. He's fallen asleep because it's really hot and he's only a baby really at 3 years old. And I could not get the feeling of fear and terror that I might have lost my boy. And I'm running over and over in my mind, what could I have done differently? And it suddenly occurred to me, I didn't look up. All the time this was going on, and I was terrified that I'd lost him, my focus was where the action is, all of the time. My focus was where the chaos is. I'm trying to make sense of this chaos, and I couldn't do it. Remember, I said this park was in the middle of a huge grassy area where there was nothing else happening. There was just people walking their dogs. If I'd have just looked up, my fears would have been allayed, because my fear was that somebody had took him. If I'd have taken a few seconds to look up and look around the area, I would have seen that everything else was calm and that nobody was walking my boy away from the park. That I'd been too focused on what was right in front of me to see the bigger picture. So I'm going to remember this, and I use this to this day. Look up as a metaphor is what we all need to do. It's too easy to think that everything that's happening online is where the action is and that's where we should be looking. And it's not. There's a whole wide world out there that's got nothing to do with what's going on online, and we do well to remember that. Look up.